But gentlemen, I think probably the most interesting spot to start is that outfield right now, because the Cubs are very crowded in the outfield, right? Seiya's probably your everyday right fielder. Jason Hayward's this weird, like, he's going to rotate in at like right when Seiya maybe DHs and then like center mostly, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody's like, oh, is he taking away at bats from Brennan Davis, or is he taking away at bats from a Rafael Ortega? Like, what's happening there? And then you got a loaded left field with guys like Ian Happ, Michael Hermosillo, Clint Frazier, who's having a really nice spring right now. He looks like he's just a guy that needs to just play freely, and he might overachieve what people expect him to do. But, like, guys, I think that's where my biggest focus is that left field spot. Because, like, what happens if Ian Happ is as good as he was at the end of last season, and then you have Clint Frazier continuing what he's doing in the spring right now? Like, all of a sudden you have two very, like, solid offensive options to play left field that, yeah, they're not the greatest gloves in left, but they're good enough to get by, and very much like at least adequate defenders where, holy crap, all of a sudden is like, are the Cubs actually in a surplus of bats in the outfield because of these two guys? So like, that's where I'm starting. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts really about the whole outfield, but especially left field.
Clint Frazier's looked great in the spring. We've seen it. Like it's a loud contact. That double, like he puts some wood on it.
Speed is wild.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're talking about free agency being quiet, but like we're hearing some loud noises off these bats. Like Clint Frazier, Brennan Davis, that's another outfielder. Like you just said, like when's he coming up? Like, how does that whole thing mix in? Bro, that guy that he hit that off of, like, that's a highly thought of reliever in the Reds bullpen this year. He made his debut last year after rising through the ranks. Dari Moreta, like, this dude, they're thinking of him as like a really good pitcher this year and somebody that they can maybe really rely on. And the fact that Brennan Davis took him yard, like, that was not even that bad of a location. It was actually a pretty good spot. If you rewind it and watch the tape, it probably might have been a strike on the outside corner, and it looks like Davis really reached for it, but I think it was close to actually being a strike if you really watch it. But he clubbed that thing so effortlessly, and it was a moonshot. It wasn't like a line drive that just left the yard in dead center. Like, this thing went up in the air. It was like the Chris Bryant majestic home runs that just go up a mile high, and then they leave the yard. So it's like how ready is he, right? Like,
and like because they assigned him to minor league camp, so that's a little piece of news I want to slot in there. Like, he is technically in minor league camp, even though he's still getting spring training games. But like, I'm telling you right now, if he goes down to AAA and he absolutely rakes in the beginning of the season, are we all really sitting here being like, yeah, it's okay that Jason Hayward's getting center field over him today? No. Or even if you're rotating him in the corners, you know what I mean? Like, now all of a sudden you're like, does Ian Happ go back to center field? Because like they need to make at bats. It could be a very crowded outfield this season. And like,
well, I mean, I think if you're a Cub fan right now, you're a huge Brennan Davis fan, right? He's the exact light of optimism that you've almost been looking for the last couple of years. You know, somebody different who's coming up through the minor league system who, you know, has a very bright future, can do a lot of things. And I think the most impressive thing was, if you watch that home run, he didn't get all of it either, and was still able to muscle it out to the deepest part of the ballpark, which I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. He's going to go back down there. He's going to embarrass AAA. He's going to, because that's just what he's that damn good. And then the Cubs are going to have a problem. They're going to have a bunch of Cub fans who are yelling, why are we wasting these at-bats at a place that does not matter? And with the division wide open, we've talked about it on here. The Cubs might as well just field the best team that they can field right now, because I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you're looking at this division, why wouldn't you try to field the team that you can get out hot? But the Cubs are going to play it as, oh, well, you know, he's just not ready yet. And they're going to make up a bunch of bullshit. Because why? Because they have so many guys that they want to get a look at first. And I get it. I understand you signed Clint Frazier. And I love the sounds I'm hearing off his bat, and I'm intrigued. He's healthy for the first time in a long time. And he looks like he's happy to be in Chicago, which, if you've read some things about him in New York with the concussions, you know, he had to play. He was almost forced to play because he knew he would lose his spot, because that's how crowded there. So he's going to go through a lot of that this year too. with that said, man, we're really removed from thinking. Remember when they signed Yan Gomes, and we're like, man, maybe you just put Wilson Contreras out and left because he's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no room for him out there.
That's not happening. And I'll say this too. Thank God we have the DH, because there's going to be 3 to 4 worth prospects that or players out there that we're going to need in the lineup. And you know what? Jason Hayward, thank you for your service. Thank you for your speech. But dude, you're defensive replacement. I'm sorry. You've had plenty of time to figure it out. If the Cubs are up late in a ball game and need defensive replacing, yeah, that's your role. So, expect it. And if you're complaining about getting more playing time, well, maybe you should accept going to some different places, or, maybe you should hit better to up your value so the Cubs can trade you somewhere. That's the long and short of what I look at when you look in the outfield. And I'm excited though, man, because that Brendan Davis home run, when I saw it, when I woke up, I was like, holy crap, man, that is impressive. Like you don't see that type of power. That's just not normal.